Story 1. I'm suing my father for stealing my dead mother's gift. Asterisk. Imagine your dying mother setting aside everything she could to secure your future only to have your father steal every penny and hand it to your stepsister? One person's fight for justice has torn a family to shreds, and they're asking, am I going too far? Asterisk. My mother died when I was 16. Cancer took her slowly, painfully, giving her just enough time to arrange the pieces of her departure. Among those pieces was a trust fund $50,000 compiled from life insurance and her modest savings, designated specifically for my future, for college, for starting your life, for whatever you need. She told me during one of our final conversations, her hand weak in mine. The trust had a trustee, my father. He'd manage it until I turned 25, at which point full control would transfer to me. It seemed like a reasonable arrangement. He was my dad. I trusted him. That trust was obliterated last month when I logged into the account and saw a balance of $327. Asterisk. My hands shook as I called the bank, certain there'd been some catastrophic error. The representative calmly explained that no, there was no mistake. Multiple withdrawals. Over the past year, all properly authorized by the trustee had systematically drained $50,000 from the account, all authorized by my father. I drove straight to his house, rage and disbelief battling for dominance in my chest. He was there with my stepmother and stepsister, enjoying a casual evening like they hadn't just destroyed my future. What happened to my trust fund? I demanded, not bothering with pleasantries. The look on my father's face, that guilty, caught-in-act expression, told me everything before he opened his mouth. My stepsister went pale. My stepmother looked confused. And my father. My father tried to suggest we discuss it later. No, we're discussing it now. Where is my mother's money, he confessed. Admitted he'd taken Etal of Atand, given it to my stepsister for a down payment on a house. His justification was breathtaking. In its cruelty, I was young and had time to save up on my own, but my stepsister was getting older and needed to settle down now. That money was from my mother, I said, my voice shaking. For my future, my stepmother, this woman who never knew my mother, never understood her sacrifices, had the audacity to say my mom would have wanted me to be generous. That family helps family. I lost my composure entirely. Her daughter isn't entitled to money my mother saved for me. My mother, who she never met, who died making sure I'd be taken care of. Asterisk. My stepsister started crying, claiming she didn't know it was my money, that Dad told her it was his savings he wanted to gift her. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't particularly care. I gave him an ultimatum. Return every cent. Within 30 days or I'd sue him. He laughed in my face. Actually laughed and said I couldn't sue him that as trustee. He had full legal authority to manage the funds however he deemed appropriate. I contacted a lawyer the next morning. Turns out my father was catastrophically wrong. The trust explicitly stated the money was to be used for the benefit of me. Giving it to someone else constitutes a clear breach of fiduciary duty. My lawyer drafted a letter demanding full repayment plus interest, with a lawsuit for breach of trust and conversion. As the alternative, my father's response was explosive. He called screaming that I was destroying our family over money, that he raised me after Mom died and this is how I repay him. You stole from your dead wife's child, I replied, my voice ice. You're lucky. I'm giving you a chance to fix this before I take everything. Asterisk. The family warfare that followed has been overwhelming. My stepmother bombarding me with texts about how my stepsister had to back out of her house purchase, lost her earnest money deposit, is devastated, and it's all my fault for being selfish. She actually argued that my mother's money should be shared with the whole family rather than hoarded by me. My father switched tactics, claiming he can't possibly come up with $50,000 right now, that I'll force him to lose his house, that I'm being unreasonable expecting that kind of money immediately. He's begging me to drop the lawsuit and accept a payment plan. My lawyer informed me we can obtain a judgment, place a lien on his house, force a sale if necessary. The legal machinery is in motion. But then my maternal grandparents, me mother's own parents, started calling, begging me not to destroy my father's financial life, insisting that despite everything, he did raise me after Mom died, that she wouldn't want me hurting him this way, even if he was wrong. Asterisk. Some friends think I should accept a payment plan and move on. $50,000 isn't worth losing your father over, they say, as if that money is just an arbitrary number rather than my mother's dying gift. Others are firmly on my side. He literally stole your inheritance. He deserves whatever happens. My stepsister sent a lengthy message about how she's always tried to be a good sister, how she can't believe I'd ruin her life over this, how the money's already spent and there's nothing she can do now. But here's the fundamental truth. They all keep missing. That was my money from my mother, for my future. Money she saved while dying, knowing she wouldn't be there to help me navigate adulthood, and he gave it away without even asking. Without considering for a moment that maybe the child who lost her mother deserved to keep the one thing she left behind. The lawsuit's filed, court date is set for 2 months from now. My father isn't speaking to me. Half my family calls me vindictive and cruel. The other half says I'm doing the right thing. But late at night, I find myself wondering, is this really about justice? Or has grief and anger twisted this into something uglier? Would my mother want me pursuing this path, even if I'm legally right? Am I taking this too far? Should I accept whatever he can pay back and try to salvage what's left of our family? Or do I owe it to my mother's memory and to myself to fight for what's rightfully mine, no matter the cost? Story 2. The Man in Our Basement and Why I Exist. Some family secrets involve hidden inheritances or affairs. Mine involves a boy chained in our basement, tortured repeatedly to keep us alivicus. My great-grandmother cheated death on the Titanic, and I just set him free. When this nightmare began, I had 5 toes on each foot. Now I'm down to exposed bone, and even that is crumbling into dust. I'm rotting from the inside out. It's slow, it's agonizing, and I desperately need help understanding what I've done, whether I can undo it. Let me start at the beginning. I've always been the odd one out in my family. While my siblings Noah and Anastasia were clearly my parents' golden children, I existed in their peripheral vision. The last to know anything, the punching bag, the afterthought. Growing up, they'd tease me about the secret in our family basement. The wine cellar was strictly off-limits, an adult-only zone that my siblings loved making sound haunted. Can you hear the screams? Noah would whisper, dragging me toward those stairs when we were kids. There's a drowned ghost down there. Sometimes you can see blood under the door. When I shoved him down the stairs and Panesh was fine, but I thought I'd killed him, they mostly dropped the ghost stories. They'd made the basement seem so cursed that, ironically, I lost all curiosity about it. As we grew older, only Noah and Anastasia were allowed to retrieve the expensive wine during holidays. When I asked if I could go instead, my parents would smile mysteriously and say, "You wouldn't understand." I left home the moment I graduated, desperate to escape my insufferable siblings. We weren't close. We'd never been close. But yesterday, guilt drove me back from my mother's brunch. She'd sent one of those manipulative texts you don't love. Me anymore? Do you? So I showed up with a forced smile, walked straight into my heavily pregnant sister Anastasia and her chaos of children, and prepared for an uncomfortable afternoon. Anastasia, 26, and perpetually perfect in our mothers. Eyes immediately latched onto her favorite topic. My lack of a boyfriend. She asked once, then twice. Then kept pushing, knowing full well I'd confided in her years ago that I'm asexual. She was trying to force me to come out to our parents, because my sister isn't just accomplished as cruel in that subtle, plausibly attainable way. When she pushed the boyfriend question for the 3rd time, I snapped and revealed something I'd kept secret. I'd caught her cheating on her wedding day with some guy named Harry. She went crimson. Noah burst out laughing. Mom just smiled indulgently, like we were adorable children squabbling. I excused myself to grab more wine, desperate to escape the fallout. That's when I followed Anastasia down to the basement. The temperature dropped the moment I crossed the threshold. Just like Noah always said, cold enough to see your breath. The basement looked ordinary at first. Dusty shelves lined with expensive bottles. Anastasia selected one, took a long drink, completely at ease. That's when I heard the voice. "Ooh, it's my favorite person," a male voice said mockingly. I couldn't see anyone, but Anastasia didn't even flinch. "I don't believe I gave you permission to speak," she said coldly, still drinking. "Stop stalking me. What's wrong? Trouble in paradise," he taunted. I moved slowly, carefully, until I had a full view of what my sister was looking at. And I wanted to scream. Chained to the basement walls was a boy early 20s, with thick dark curls and colorless eyes that once might have held life. Vines like withered ropes wrapped around his throat. Chains bound him not just to the walls but to the very foundation of our house itself. His blood painted the cement. His bones were literally embedded in the structure. He wasn't just a prisoner, he was our home, and sprouting from his spine were appendages grotesque, wing-like things that marked him as something beyond human, not quite an angel, more like a mockery of one. In front of him sat an altar with a gilded knife. The blade was stained. The boy's chest was marked, clearly carved into repeatedly. Anastasia picked up the knife, pressed it against his throat almost lovingly. The boy smiled like he was used to this. Used to her visits. Used to the cruelty. For a spoiled Brat, with everything, you don't look very happy, Annie, he said. It's Anastasia, you know that. Where's Noah? He asked, and I detected longing in his voice. My sister sighed, forcing him to look at her. You obviously prefer my brother. It's been clear since we were kids. But I suppose I had a stupid little crush on you? The boy regarded her coolly. You look like you're having a bad day. I hate my family, Anastasia murmured. When he responded with a sarcastic "I wonder why," she sliced his throat. I watched her sever his artery with surgical precision, like she'd done this countless times before. Blood gushed. His body jerked. He died within seconds. But then impossibly he jolted back to life, choking and vomiting freezing water that turned to ice when it hit the floor. Where was I? He gasped, shivering. Oh, right. Your great-grandmother's cowardice, her refusal to accept her fate, is why I'm here, why you're here, why your fucking family exists. His voice dropped to something raw and broken. She was supposed to die on the Titanic. A fortune teller gave her a way out, a gift that let her escape her written fate. But fate demanded balance, so now I pay the price. I drown, freeze, choke, bleed, and die again and again and again, until your bloodline ends. Anastasia shrugged, unmoved. Grandmother said you were just a street kid begging on the side of the road. You would have frozen to death anyway. She was nice enough to give you a home, make your bones the foundation of us. You're making me suffer, he choked out. So you're saying my children should suffer instead? Anastasia rubbed her pregnant belly. Innocent babies who've done nothing wrong. She picked up the knife again. If I freed you, I'd be signing their death warrant. Their names are Mari and Travis. You'll meet them soon. They'll learn about you, your sacrifice. They'll continue the tradition, then their children will. She walked past me without a glance. Have fun with him, sis, she said casually. The first time is always the best. When I was 8, I successfully carved out his heart. I stood frozen, until she disappeared upstairs, then I moved. The boy hissed when I approached. Get the fuck away from me. You're not due to kill me until tomorrow. I'm not going to hurt you, I whispered. My hands found his restraints, the vines around his neck, the nails pinning him to the walls. I worked frantically, carefully, freeing him piece by piece. When the last binding fell away, he collapsed into my arms, gasping, his body struggling to breathe without the house sustaining him. I can't breathe, he wheezed. Wait. I didn't wait. I dragged him up the basement stairs as blood began flowing from the walls, like the house itself was hemorrhaging. Upstairs was chaos. Our older relatives were turning to dust, their bodies collapsing into their clothes. It spread like a virus through everyone connected to my great-grandmother. I passed my mother as her hair turned white, her face crumbled, her body came completely apart. 12 people gone, reduced to nothing? Only the youngest generation remained. Anastasia screamed, hands over her ears. Noah sat eerily still, almost smiling, his gaze following me and the boy with something like relief. My sister's children cried. Anastasia grabbed my hair, trying to drag me back, but Noah violently yanked her away. We made it outside into sunlight. The boy stepped over the threshold, and for a moment the house tried to pull him back, but it was too weak. He fell to his knees in the sunlight, sobbing, his destroyed body illuminated. Those monstrous wings visible in all their horror. Behind us, my mother's house began to crumble. That was yesterday. Now I'm rotting. Not like my mother and the older generation, they simply ceased to exist. My deterioration is slow, deliberate, cruel. I've lost 4 toes, the edge of my ear. My memories are spotting. I can't remember high school, or my father's name, or huge chunks of my life. The boy, I call him Jasper now, finally spoke a few hours ago while devouring Chinese takeout. I'm not the only one, he said. When I was taken, 2 others were kidnapped with me, Mara and Robbie. They're the reason you're still alive. Why you're hanging by a thread instead of completely gone? He pointed to my exposed toe bones. You're still going to rot though, because you shouldn't exist. Your ancestor was supposed to die on the Titanic. You're like a bug, a mistake that needs correcting. Noah visited earlier. His entire arm has been stripped to bone. His rot is progressing faster than mine for reasons I don't understand. And he's talking about recapturing Jasper, protecting him. But really, he just wants to protect himself. I look at Jasper now, sleeping peacefully on my couch after binge-watching The Simpsons. He trusts me. He's finally free after decades of torture, but I'm dying, slowly, painfully, and I can't stop thinking. If I plunge that knife through his heart, will I buy myself more time? If I make him suffer again, will I live? There's only one way to find out. Story 3. My family staged an intervention because I refused to date my deadbeat brother ***. Imagine coming home from work to find your entire extended family waiting in your living room, not because someone died, But because you refused to set up your unemployed 32-year-old brother with your successful the intervention that followed will make your jaw drop. Asterisk, I'm the oldest of 3 siblings, and I've spent my entire life being the responsible one. Full scholarship to college, solid career in tech, bought a house at 26. Married an incredible woman 3 years ago. I've checked every box that defines getting your life together. My younger brother, on the other hand, is 32 years old, lives in our parents' basement, and hasn't held a job for more than 6 months in the past decade. But according to my family, he's just a misunderstood genius who hasn't found his path yet. They pay for his car, his phone, give him spending money, make excuses for every job he quits or gets fired from. It's never his fault, it's bad management, toxic coworkers, companies that didn't appreciate his potential. 2 months ago, we hosted a family dinner and my wife's sister was visiting from out of state. She's 28, a veterinarian, owns her own condo, basically has her entire life together in the most impressive way. My brother spent the entire evening practically orbiting around her, asking about her career, complimenting her constantly, making it painfully obvious what he was doing. Asterisk, after everyone left, he texted me, "Give me her number." I ignored it. He texted again the next day, "Come on, man, just give me her number." We really hit it off. I told him no, I wasn't setting him up with my sister-in-law. He called immediately. "Why not? You think I'm not good enough for her or something?" "You don't have a job," I said bluntly. "You live with mom and dad, you have no direction in your life. She's not going to be interested. That's so judgmental." He exploded. "I'm working on myself. You should support me as your brother. You've been working on yourself for 10 years, I replied. "I'm not setting you up with her just so you can embarrass me and our family." He hung up on me. The next day, mom called with her predictable guilt trip. I was being cruel and elitist. My brother really liked her and deserved a chance at happiness. She deserves better than someone who can't even support himself. I told her, "So you think you're better than him because you have money?" Mom's voice dripped with disappointment. "That's disgusting." Asterisk. I held my ground. Then last week, something happened that still feels surreal. I came home from work to find 4 cars in my driveway. My parents, my brother, my aunt and uncle, my younger sister, all of them sitting in my living room. My wife had let them in, completely blindsided by what was about to unfold. "We're here for an intervention," my mom announced. "An intervention? For what?" I asked, genuinely confused. "For you being an arrogant asshole who thinks he's better than everyone," my brother snarled. I stood there, stunned, as my father explained that I needed to apologize and give my brother my sister-in-law's number, that I was holding him back from potential happiness because of my own ego. My aunt chimed in about family helping family, how I was acting too good to help my own brother. I lost it. "He's a 32-year-old man with no job, no savings, and no ambition," I said, my voice rising. "I'm not setting him up with my wife's sister so he can mooch off her, like he mooches off all of you." My mom started crying. My brother called me a piece of shit, said I'd always looked down on him. "Everyone out," I said. Now, my dad crossed his arms. "We're not leaving until you apologize and make this right." Asterisk, I pulled out my phone. "I'm calling the police for trespassing if you're not gone in 2 minutes. The shock on their faces was almost comical. "You'd really call the cops on your own family," my sister gasped. "You ambushed me in my own home over refusing to set up my unemployed brother," I replied. "So yeah, I absolutely would." They left, but not before my uncle grabbed my arm and hissed, "You're destroying this family. Your brother looks up to you, and you just spit in his face." Since that night, I've been bombarded with calls and texts. My parents saying I'm tearing the family apart, that money has made me cold. My brother sending lengthy messages about how I've always been condescending, how this proved I never cared about him. Even my grandmother called to say I should be ashamed. I blocked all of them. My wife supports me completely, but she feels guilty about the family rift. Her sister, who I never even told about my brother's interest until this exploded, said she appreciates me protecting her privacy but feels terrible for causing drama. Asterisk, here's my question. Did I do the right thing? My brother is objectively not in any position to date someone like my sister-in-law. I'm not obligated to facilitate a relationship that would almost certainly end in disaster. But threatening to call the cops on my own family, blocking everyone? Maybe I went nuclear, when I should have just given him the number to keep the peace. So tell me, am I justified, or did I just destroy my family over a phone number? Story 4. The lunch that destroyed my marriage. Asterisk, what if a simple act of kindness at lunch could be labeled as cheating? One man's innocent gesture spiraled into a marriage-threatening crisis that has his entire family choosing sides. Asterisk, picture this. You're sitting at a crowded restaurant bar enjoying a solo lunch, when a stranger strikes up conversation. Small talk turns friendly. She mentions being new to town, lonely, looking for connections. So you offer your number just to help out, right? Completely innocent? But when your wife discovers that text message, everything changes. That's exactly what happened to me last Tuesday, and now my marriage is hanging by a thread over what I genuinely believed was just being a decent human being. The woman seemed pleasant enough, mid-30s, professional, clearly just trying to navigate life in an unfamiliar city. Our conversation flowed naturally. Careers, local hotspots, the usual stranger at a bar topics. When she confessed, she didn't know anyone in the area. Something in me wanted to help. I've been that person before, searching for community. So I handed over my number, told her I'd be happy to share recommendations. Asterisk. She texted immediately so we'd have each other's contact information. We parted ways, I thought nothing of it. Until my wife picked up my phone that evening. The message glowed on the screen. Hey, it's me from lunch. Would love to hang out sometime and get to know the area better. The temperature in our home dropped 20 degrees in an instant. Who is this? My wife asked, her voice carrying that dangerous calm that every married person recognizes. I explained everything honestly, the chance encounter, the conversation, the exchange of numbers. I watched her expression transform from confusion to something much darker. Let me get this straight, she said slowly. You sat in a restaurant, had an extended conversation with an attractive woman, gave her your personal number, and are now making plans to see her again. No, it wasn't like that, I protested. She just needs help getting acquainted with the city. I was being friendly. Her laugh was hollow. Married men don't give random women their phone numbers, especially women they meet at bars. It was a restaurant, I corrected, which somehow made everything worse. Then came the question that changed everything. Did you mention you were married? The silence that followed was deafening, because I hadn't. It genuinely never came up in conversation, but now, in the harsh light of my wife's accusation, that omission suddenly felt massive. Asterisk. She erupted. According to her, I'd essentially started an emotional affair. I sat there, actually enjoyed another woman's company, handed over direct access to myself, and deliberately concealed my marital status. In her mind, these weren't separate innocent actions, they formed a pattern. Asterisk. This is how affairs start, she said, tears forming. This is exactly how it happens. You meet someone, you connect. You tell yourself it's innocent until suddenly it isn't. I argued that that I had zero romantic interest in this woman, that I was simply extending kindness to someone in need. But with every defense, I could see my wife withdrawing further. The fight lasted 2 brutal hours. She demanded I text the woman immediately, confess I was married, and shut down any possibility of future contact. I refused, not because I wanted to protect something inappropriate, but because doing so felt like admitting guilt for something I didn't do. If you have nothing to hide, why does it feel weird to tell her you're married? My wife challenged. I couldn't answer that in a way that satisfied either of us. She spent the night in the guest room. The next morning, she'd already called her sister, who immediately labeled me either stupid or deliberately obtuse. Her parents got involved. Her father, usually my ally, gently suggested that while my intentions might have been pure, my actions showed disrespect. Even my own brother called me an idiot. That woman was flirting with you and you either know it and liked it, or you're too dense to recognize it, he said. I deleted the woman's number. Never responded to her text. Reported all of this to my wife, hoping it would end the crisis. It didn't. The damage is done, she told me coldly. You've shown me that you don't understand boundaries, that you're willing to prioritize some stranger's feelings over your wife's. How can I trust you now? Asterisk. Now she's talking about staying with her sister for a while to think things through. Her friends are bombarding me with messages calling me a moron who needs to grovel for forgiveness. Meanwhile, my friends are splitsome, insist I'm massively screwed up. Others say my wife is being controlling and paranoid. Here's what's eating at me. I genuinely don't believe I did anything wrong. I saw someone struggling and offered help. That's it. There was no attraction, no hidden agenda, no desire for anything beyond basic human decency. But everyone around met people whose opinions I respect seemed convinced I crossed a massive line. So I'm left wondering, was this really cheating? Am I missing something fundamental about marriage and boundaries? Or is my wife overreacting to an innocent situation? Because right now, my marriage is crumbling over a lunch conversation. And I honestly don't know if I'm the villain in this story or just incredibly naive.